Hi, everybody. Don Giannetti, Lighting Essentials. I'm here with former Project 52 member and commercial photographer Steve Collins. Steve is working in a uh, small market in Virginia, Fredericksburg, and has been a full-time photographer for, well, I'll let him tell you exactly what that story is here, but not for very long, but is working a lot. So, Stephen, welcome to Project 52 Lighting Essentials here, and tell us a little bit about how you got into commercial photography.
Okay. Well, I started, I'll try and make it as short as possible, but I started with yours Lighting Essentials workshops when you were traveling about the country. I discovered them through Flickr and Lighting Essentials because I had first heard of David Hobby when when his group was really on the upswing. Excuse me, because David is near geographically to me.
He's up in Baltimore, right?
Yeah, thereabouts. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, and no, I've got a frog in my throat. Excuse me. Sorry, that should take care of it. Um, like a lot of other people have said, we heard of this character called WizWow and started listening to the things that he was offering and the advice and support as opposed to a lot of the other uh, naysayers, so to speak. And before you knew it, I was enrolled in your course, and that was the first, it was 2008 or 2009 up on Howard Street in Baltimore, which was quite an experience. If you don't know Howard Street, it's not the best street in Baltimore. Um, but I got done with that course, and I felt like I looked like a deer in the headlights. I was just completely stymied. I stuck with it, kept with it, and I went through 4 continuous years of your road shows. I've also since then had you out to my studio for some one-on-one. And all that time, I was self-studying, taking all the information that you were providing us and using it as best I could, which really I think a lot of the information for us early goers is what really melded into Project 52. I think you really, with all the guidance and help and work that you did with us and us collective photographers throughout the country and the world, gave you the vision to create and take Project 52 to fruition. Um, then in 2011, my IT job said, no, you're no longer required, and I was downsized. Um, Fortunately, I was in a financial position to have enough money to say, I can do this. And so I did. I took my severance and I had a little bit of inheritance money stashed away, and I went about it. And I've been just very blessed and very lucky ever since with being able to get out there and network and meet the right people and have those people respond in a positive and manner such that it has kept the bills paid and kept my work steady.
Well, you have been. I think I tried to get um, a chat with you last week, and you were just too busy. You've been shooting a lot.
It rains. There's dry spouts, and then it pours. Um, and I'm still in the upswing phase. I'm a little over 2 years into full-time commercial. So I still consider myself in the get the job phase.
Hmm.
Um, Granted, there I am starting to be selective in the choices that I make. Um, but I still will take jobs even though when you really get down and done with it, I'm making 25, $30 an hour. I mean, if you really break it down all the way down, because I was a corporate person. I was military, retired, then into the corporate world. So I always have an hourly basis that I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, okay, I'm 2 years into this gig, and I'm netting $25 an hour. That's pretty good. I mean, carpenters live pretty well on that, and some people may balk at it, but it's kept me going. And there's been bigger gigs. I mean, there's stuff I'm sure Don will lead me into that has happened recently for me that really is starting to turn the corner.
Well, the longer you're in the business there, and the more contacts you keep making, I think that's how you build this business.
Yes. Oh, 120. Yes, unequivocally.
So tell us a little bit about what it was like to get started. I know we had several conversations about it. Um, Fredericksburg is not a real easy town to get going as a photographer in it.
No, Fredericksburg is a very unique microcosm. To give you a little bit of background, it was the first city that was ever bombed by the United States Army during the Civil War. So it is considered the South. I mean, General Lee defended this city against the what they considered the northern aggressors. So it is a very close, tight-knit, multi-generational town. So there's two types of people. You're either from here or you're not from here. And you have to be careful about. I've seen multiple businesses come and go because they're not from here, and they come jumping in, and they think that this is Richmond or Alexandria or Washington D.C., and they just set up shop and hang out a flag, and people are going to start coming. And they'll come once, and they'll say, "Well, who's your family?" And they'll say, "Oh, well, we're not from here." They won't be back. So that's It's been a little bit of a tough egg to crack in that regard. But I was fortunate that I saw that early on, so I was able to tread lightly and take it slowly.
Yeah, it's. I know you've really put some time into slowly building a good client list and a good solid portfolio that is always growing, and I think it's pretty cool. Tell us about the kinds of jobs you're doing here in Fredericksburg, because
Well,
I'm sure you're not really yet a specialist yet, right?
no, I would not consider myself a specialist, although I am starting to become known in some niche markets, and which is really odd because they're somewhat diverse. And Fredericksburg being a small town, it was one of those. It is one of those towns that you're either a specialist, in other words, you either do portraits, babies, and weddings,
Mm-hmm.
or you're a commercial photographer, and you better be able to light a semi or make a diamond ring pop. It's really that diverse, and um, it started out as me being very much a generalist. And as Don professes in his P52, get the job. And that's what I did. I got the job. I got the jobs. I got my name out there. I got my work out there. I got the word of mouth going. And the jobs, well, geez, I I will still, for certain people, do these, what they're called, elopement weddings now.
Okay.
You go in for an hour and you pop off 50 frames and you give them a disc or you give them a Dropbox link and you take away $250. But hey, if I can drop 200, if I can make $250 in 45 minutes, and I've shot all these venues so many times that I know exactly my lighting and where I want to be and what I want to do, my post-processing is barely an hour. I think I'm doing a pretty good time for revenue turnaround.
Yeah.
But that's not anything that I want to be known about. We have a plethora of wedding photographers. I'm friends with many of them. We have some outstanding, phenomenal wedding and portrait photographers here, and I'm not going to tread on their territory. It's just not. And I'm finding out that that's one of those niche markets that I don't really want to do. I like doing lifestyle. I'll eventually, I occasionally will take on a client that wants to work with me, but I'm getting to the point now where I'm being specific about who I take on.
Being very careful about the kind of clients, or somewhat careful about the kind of clients that you want to work with and build that portfolio with.
Yeah. For one of the things that I enjoy doing is working with theater students.
Okay.
Because they've been on stage and they understand theatrics and they understand how to be animated. Going through all those workshops and working with inexperienced models, model mayhem models, very experienced models, such as Brianna, I've learned that what I want is I want someone like Brianna to work with. I want someone that I can just say, okay, now drop your chin a skosh, and she drops it a centimeter. I don't want to say drop your chin a skosh and have the girl take her chin down to her breastplate kind of scenario. And that's just a personal preference because of the dynamic of how I've learned to work with people. It's just me.
Sure.
I find the technical aspect of lighting and composition to be much more of a challenge that I'm willing to take on.
Excellent. Well, you do some. We're looking at some food photography that you do now here.
Mm-hmm.
So you're doing food. What's your favorite? I know you do food and architecture and lifestyle, right?
And product. I do. I'm getting kind of known in a niche market here with historical and militaria items.
Okay.
So I guess you could generally classify that as product because it's tabletop for the most part. I mean, I got to shoot a World War I machine gun last month, which was kind of cool, but that's not the norm. That's the rare.
Well, you've got a nice variety of stuff, so excellent. What are you doing now currently to market yourself?
That's an interesting question, and I have to admit that I am stuck in the conundrum that you said could happen. I'm stuck in the I'm so busy, how do I market myself situation. And
Then when you don't market yourself and you get less busy, you have no work. See?
Well, yeah, that there. Yeah, the proof is in the pudding in that regard. But so, but fortunately, I feel blessed in the fact that I I try to listen to everything you say, so I recognize exactly where I am in my journey,
Mm-hmm.
and I recognize that I'm in that swell of seawater right now where I'm running on the high side and I'm down on the low side, and I've got to learn to level it out so that I've got work coming quite often. But on the other hand, the phone rings. I've got a job booked, and then the phone rings, and all of a sudden now I'm juggling 3 jobs in 5 days. So it's because it's a small town. People are like they'll wait till the last minute. They'll call me up, Steve. I need this shot by Thursday.
Yeah.
And I'm looking. It's Monday night, and I've got 2 houses I've got to shoot tomorrow, And then on Wednesday, I've got to go do this other gig, and I'm like, where am I going to fit it? And if it's an outdoor gig, it's thunderstorm season here right now. And I'm like, oh, geez, thanks for giving me the heads up here, folks.
Oh yeah. Well, that's
So,
they it gets eerie. It gets better at some point because you'll start to develop these clients and you'll be able to train them, so to speak. Uh,
true,
Train
true.
them not to do this and give them incentive to work in with better timelines for sure. So never despair. But right now, like you say, you gotta figure out how to get those jobs done and get them done. Um, and you will. Maybe
Oh yeah,
maybe you have to
oh
stay late or something. Who knows?
yeah. That's the fun part. I mean, I really like the challenge. I like the adrenaline rush of all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, I've got to rebook my whole schedule here for the week. Like today. Today I was gonna, what the heck? I don't even remember what I was gonna do. But I ended up going over to my primary client and shooting 16 militaria items so that tomorrow or Wednesday I can go shoot some house exteriors for a building a builder that I
Mhm.
work with because today was thunderstorms day. So tomorrow and Wednesday is going to be clear. So it's like, all right, do the indoor work today, do the outdoor work tomorrow and Wednesday. This is because it's just the way it goes. You end up juggling the weather, you have your family life, and the jobs.
So tell me what's coming up for you. What's the summer looking like?
Well, unfortunately, right now I am, and by choice, in a bit of a hiatus. I do have an all-day gig coming up Saturday. One of the things that I really, really enjoy doing is they have a soapbox derby here in Fredericksburg, and it's one of the qualifiers that you can go to Akron, Ohio. So the winners of their divisions go to Akron, Ohio for the national championships.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and Parks and Rec has invited me for this will be my third year photographing them. Memorial Day weekend. It's kind of a funny thing. This soapbox derby stuff is serious stuff,
Oh
and they
yeah,
take and they make them impound their cars. They take them through this inspection line process, and they impound their cars 2 weeks before the race. So over in this warehouse downtown, there's all these 94 soapbox derby cars. Well, part of the process is they come through. The first thing they do is they get in front of my camera. I've got a little station set up, and I take their picture for the program.
hmm
And then this Saturday, I'll go downtown, and I get to go up in the fire truck in the hook and ladder, and because we have to take a picture of all the cars in the parking lot with all the racers kneeling beside it. It's kind of like the official photo that goes to Akron. I don't understand all the wheres and whys of what they do, but so I get to go up in the fire truck every year, but they don't let me ring the bell. It's terrible.
That's
Anyway,
that's just not right.
I know it's not, but they make me wear a safety belt, so that's kind of cool. Um, but then I get to spend the rest of the day running around taking pictures wherever I like. Um, so that's really the only project that I currently have on the books right now. Well, I have the two exteriors tomorrow or Wednesday. But I am deliberately on somewhat of a hiatus because I just came out of completing the second catalog for the auction company that I work for, which has become my primary client.
Ah,
So I started shooting for them on May 3rd, no, March 3rd, excuse me, March 3rd, and the book went to the publisher on May 18th. So all of March, April, and the first half of May, I was shooting probably about 50 hours a week in studio of military items that are going up for auction.
neat. Very cool.
Yeah, so that I got lucky on that one. They They were looking for a commercial photographer in Fredericksburg that had the studio experience. And even though I don't come up too high in Google, I came up with the experience.
There you go. And it's been a good job for you.
It certainly has. It certainly has.
I'm going to give you control of the screen here, and perhaps you can take us to in your website, take us to a couple of jobs that are fairly memorable. But you can tell us a little bit about the jobs that you did. That'd be great. I think
Wow.
I made you
Okay.
the presenter. We'll see what happens here. I think I did anyway. Yeah, there we go. And I should see your screen in just a second. Well, here we go.
You good?
All right, good.
All right. So let's see what we got here. Go over to my projects. Well, this winter during some slow time, Eric Muterex, and forgive me, Eric, if I pronounce your name wrong.
Mutertes.
Huh?
Mutertes.
Mutertes.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Gave me the motivation to shoot some medical, and unfortunately, all of these items are items that were collected because of medical issues within my family.
Okay.
So, actually, looking at them, most of them were Michelle's. But I was in the hospital visiting, and they had all these materials, and they were just going to throw them away. And I'm thinking to myself, there's a whole piece of work to do right there.
Yeah, that's Virginia's pretty good for medical technology, isn't it?
Yep. So I looked at that. Let's see. One of the other things, I'll just go click on this page real quick, but you're going to see a lot of images here. Fredericksburg is a very arts and crafts town, and everybody's either a musician or an artist, typically watercolor, paint, charcoal, that kind of medium. But I've been very fortunate to spend a lot of time with a lot of the musical artists, photographing them, and there's no money in it for me because these guys are garage bands. But the beauty, well, most of them, but the beauty of it is that it gets me out there. I get into the places. They know who I am, and sooner or later they're going to call me back. I mean, like this fella right here. You see his name right there, Nick Clemens?
Mm-hmm.
Anybody remember Clarence Clemens?
Yeah.
That's his son.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So I've had the opportunity to photograph some interesting people. I've got some people back in these photos that Don would recognize. But anyway, let's see. So
You've got a bed and breakfast that's a client, right?
I do, and I do their food. This was most of these were items from a wine dinner at once a month. This bed and breakfast, because they also have a restaurant, and they have a really, really great French trained chef, general manager. And at once a month, she does a wine dinner, and she pairs her food selections with wines. And she'll bring in a winery, and they'll sit down and they'll plan and map out an entire menu based upon wine selections.
That's cool. So they choose the wine first and then prepare the food around the wine.
Yeah, like this is a bacon and duck confit dip. Unfortunately, it had congealed a little bit by the time I got a hold of it. But here's the bucket of morel mushrooms that they were going to be using. Morels?
Hmm.
Chanterelles. Excuse me, chanterelles. That they were going to be using that evening. This is a duck tenderloin, or whatever. It's duck. I know that. But that's Chef Jackie on the right, and that's Andy, her newly appointed sous chef on the right there. Uh, on the left, well, okay, camera left. Um, so that's the that's the dynamic duo in the kitchen. Um, this was well, I think a 7-layer chocolate cake with almond. Um,
So how do you are you shooting this at your studio?
no, I go on location. I come in, and they give me a room on the first floor. The first time I did this, I was kind of like tucked in the corner, and when she saw the work that I did, she decided to give me one of their small conference rooms to shoot. So they assign one of the servers to bring me a plate, to make sure I get everything. But I set up I shoot an AB 1600 into a falsely buff 24 by 36 softbox, and then I have a Target, a Target shower curtain scrim in
Hmm.
front of that,
Right.
and I kind of clip it together and tunnel it with a black flag over the top, so that one of the things that Felipe taught me was is I was getting a lot of ceiling bounce when I started doing this double diffusion. So I throw a flag over the top now, and that gives me that nice, soft, broad light that's not too hard. And then, depending upon the item, I'll bring in a kicker, a flash kicker, use a
Hmm.
strobe,
Right.
um, and depending upon, in post, I might warm it up a bit, but that's pretty much what I'm shooting for the food.
Now, do your clients okay your food before you finish it up, or are they trusting you to get the shot and move from there?
Trust me. They unequivocally trust me. It's kind of funny, and this has been kind of a personal hurdle to get over here in a small town. Um, and really don't mean to toot my own horn, but I came into town and started laying out my stuff, and people were just blown away because the caliber of the expectation that you set upon us P52ers and us lighting essential students, far exceeded anything this town had been used to seeing locally.
Oh,
All of a
good.
sudden they started seeing magazine quality photography, and they're like, "Whoa!" So I kind of get carte blanche for most of my clients.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So when the hiatus is over, probably are you going to take June off and then hit it in July?
Yeah, actually, this is a good time for me to start working on some website stuff. My social media is a little bit all over the place. I need to draw that back and kind of
No,
take a hard look at what
you and I,
I
yeah, you and I are gonna talk during this month, and we'll get
yeah,
you pushing real hard on LinkedIn.
and get me a little more focused.
Yeah, and then we can see if we can automate a little bit of your marketing for you, so that it's not a big, difficult thing to do. It's a small, difficult thing to do.
It is. Well, yeah. Well, it does. When you think it's a big difficult thing to do, it really looks overwhelming.
Yes.
And I know it isn't, The problem is I haven't wrapped my head around the getting it to be a small, difficult thing yet.
Right. And once we get a little bit of automation going, a little bit of so you're not having to think about every single thing every time you do it. We get some things done ahead of time, and then you schedule it just like you do any other kind of gig and stuff that you do. That's going to be a load off your shoulders. So you'll still have to do it, and you'll still have to focus on it, but we get all the heavy lifting done, so to speak. And
Yes.
and for you, LinkedIn is the place to be. Absolutely.
Interesting. It's interesting that you say that because I get a lot of activity on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I haven't had any bites yet, but I get a lot of.
Yeah. And there's a lot of different things you can do on LinkedIn as a photographer to really build that engagement. So we will we'll talk about that. Excellent. So the real estate agent, you're shooting as far away as Washington D.C. for real estate, aren't you?
Um, yes, actually, even well, not DC per se geographically, but Frederick, Maryland. So anywhere I can I've been asked to go 100 miles away.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, Bill Melios broke me into the real estate market, and I think he did a really darn good job because they really like my work. Um, and when it comes to shooting, especially shooting exteriors, now you got to realize the houses I'm shooting are brand new; they're empty. I go in, I shoot a box,
Sure.
and if anybody's read Steve, what's his name out there in Seattle, or no, it's San Francisco, the real estate.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
if
The
anybody's read his book and you're shooting a square box, it's a no-brainer. I mean, it doesn't take long to master a square box. Um, anyway, Hargis, Scott Hargis, and um, but Bill really spent some time and took me and dragged me and critiqued me heavily, and I think one of the tricks that he taught me about shooting exteriors has gotten Drees's attention because they really ask me a lot.
Now you're saying exteriors, you meaning interiors?
No, the exterior of the house, because what they'll do is when they have a model that they want to use in their marketing literature or
Uh-huh.
on their website, they'll have the photographer go shoot it, and then they'll cut out everything but the house and CGI in the rest.
Oh my.
Yeah, so you get the actual house, but the bushes, the driveway, the backyard, the mountains, the clouds, it wasn't what I shot.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah, they have quite a design team. Well, it's a nationwide builder. It's they're big boys.
That's interesting. What's your personal projects like these days? Are you doing some personal projects?
I am. I'm still working on my 24 frames in May. Um, and the reason why is because I really, as soon as I picked up, well, I got a deal to be able to trade some photography for a brand new mint, 2.5 rolls shot f5. I mean, when it was given to me, it still had a half a roll of film in it,
Oh my.
and it's mint, brand new. So I'm carrying that around as much as I can. Which, wow, you think digital cameras are heavy?
Oh God, I
Oh.
know. My F3 is about two-thirds the size of an F5, and it's like a brick.
It is. They're so
It's
big,
like
heavy because those darn
heavy,
double-A batteries.
and all of your lenses work on that F5.
Yep, everything.
That's
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the beautiful thing about the F5. Yes, sir.
So I'm carrying that around. I'm doing some, and the beauty of the 24 frames in May is I understood what you were doing and I got it right away, and it really has slowed me down,
Yep.
and I really really appreciate that because it also took like there was a movie called Somewhere in Time where the guy looked at a penny and he all of a sudden was back to where he was in present time years before.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as I started shooting that F5, it took me back to when I was 17 with my Pentax K1000 and thinking about every frame cost, every frame cost, every frame,
Yes.
and boy, did it make a big difference. And I really, really appreciate that.
And that's exactly why I do that 24 frames. Really
Yeah,
take every little single shot. Um, just pretend it's an 8x10 view camera. You know,
yeah, yeah.
take your
Oh,
time, check the corners, because if something's going to go wrong in your picture, it's probably going to be in the corner. Check your background, everything, copacetic back there, that type of thing. And whether or not the image works isn't as important as the fact that you thought so hard about making the image that you made a better image.
yeah,
And yeah, very
yeah.
cool.
I mean, metering, having the F5 has been very helpful because what I've realized is that I can do spot metering on like say I'm shooting a portrait or a street person. I can meter on their face so I know I'm getting the right exposure, but then I can switch it to the entire matrix metering,
Uh-huh.
the entire frame, and see how much my light meter drops by, so I can get an idea of, okay, I need to push this a little bit. And I'm not talking about push it in post-process development. I'm talking about, all right, I need to go a little hot on this person's face, that kind of thing. It's starting to remind me of being much more conscientious about not composition, but lighting. Finding my 18% gray and working with that, because in digital, I know I can clip a little on the black and I could burn a little on the white and I could probably pull it back because there's so many more zones available in the digital side than there is on the film side, and it makes you lazy. It's like I catch myself with the digital camera all the time going, I can fix it in post. And the film camera, that just isn't there. I
No.
mean, unless you've got a dark room and you can push and pull and dodge and burn, it's not there.
Well, even then, when you do it, it shows. I mean,
I'm sure it does.
it always shows. So um, you have to be, so precise. And if you're going to push the film, understand that you're going to lose a little something. There was no across the board. Like in digital, shooting ISO 100, shooting ISO 800 on most of the cameras that we shoot with, it's pretty much the same thing.
Right, right.
But in those days, it wasn't. Film, it's not.
Yeah.
So
So, so in addition to the 24 frames, my personal stuff that's going on right now is I have a personal project. You've probably seen Michelle's Blue Chair series.
yes.
Okay. Well, when she bought that blue chair, she also bought a red chair. And I've been looking at those two chairs going, I got to do something with this. Because she's retired the blue chair series. And all of a sudden, Cat in the Hat came into my head. One fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish. So
Okay.
I'm going to do one chair, two chair, red chair, blue chair. And I'm going to tie it to the storyline in the book.
Oh, very cool.
I have no idea how I'm going to do this yet. I'm going to actually probably ask children to help me on this one.
Wow, that'd be cool.
So that's kind of a long-term summer project. Marketing materials is a biggie. Probably putting together a couple books that are more niche specific. And I'm thinking about maybe some of those little magazine, $5 Smug Mug magazine thingies, like
Hmm.
5x5,
Hmm.
using those as mailers to some targeted clients. So that's pretty
Hopefully.
much going to hold me over till August, which is about when I'm going to get a call to start another catalog for the fall auction.
So, so let me ask. You brought up a good point here. most of your clients are direct client, right?
I'm pretty much strictly B2B, business to business.
Yeah,
Yes.
but you're right to client. You're not working with ad agencies or anything like that right now?
No, I didn't know.
Okay.
When I first started into this, I actually got invited down to visit with Barbara Martin agency in Richmond, and about 2 months after I had the meeting, I realized that I was a fish out of water. And I know that I probably could go down there now, but I know that I was, you got to be ready
Yeah,
when you
for the bigger the agency, that's absolutely true. The bigger the agency, the more you really got to have your ducks in a row.
and believe
And
it
we did some
or not.
searching, and there's not very many ad agencies in your little burg there.
Oh, in the Berg, we've got one, and they're ridiculous. I'm not. I mean, they're a wonderful husband and wife team, but it's not. I mean, no, Richmond.
Yeah,
Richmond's got some big players.
Richmond got some big ad agencies.
They
Absolutely.
got Barber. They got Barber and Martin. They've got oh shoot, there's another big player down there. But yeah, there's about five big players in Richmond, and which I appreciate because you know when I was doing corporate work, I was always headed towards Washington D.C. So it's kind of nice to be headed in the opposite direction, and it just is a whole mental thing.
Yep. Yep. Well,
Madison and Maine. That's the other big
yeah,
player.
that's another big agency.
Yeah, they had Geico. Oh my God, they had some biggies.
But exciting. And, it's exciting to be in that arena. And you'll get there, and when you get there, you'll be ready. And how you'll know that you're there is when your work gets you a call. When they
Yep.
call you.
Yep.
That's the thing, and that's why I'm always saying get the job. The more jobs you get, the more you get your name out there. Not saying give it away, but I'm just saying get the job. And when you're first starting out, and for me, starting out would be the first 4 or 5 years in business as a commercial shooter. You got to kiss a lot of frogs and make a lot of images. Um, to see what can come from it. So
They never looked like a frog, but I'll take it.
yeah, really, no kidding. Hey Steve, it's been great chatting with you, my friend.
Thank you.
I
My
really
pleasure.
appreciate your time and your energy and your friendship. And I look forward to seeing you out there sometime, maybe in the fall. Uh,
Yeah, we gotta work something out.
yep,
We got yeah. We
get out
gotta
there and
it's time again to do another little road trip.
oh man, that's so much fun. When Steve and I get together, Steve's been on a road trip with me out west here. And then we've done a couple little road trips out in your area, Pennsylvania. Did we go to Pennsylvania once? We did.
No. We had guys from Pennsylvania come down.
We went. Oh, we just
No,
stayed in Virginia. That's right.
we went out to Western Virginia and we found those giant marshmallows and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was a funny story.
Oh man, we had a blast. So
Yeah.
hey, I appreciate you taking the time, Steve Collins Photography. There's links on the page here for you to go and see his work, and I know he's got a bunch of stuff that you'll be adding to the website soon, right?
Yes, yeah, because
Yeah.
it's my time to start working admin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, thanks, Steve. Have a stay on. I'm gonna kill the recording, but stay on so I can thank you again. And
Okay.
thanks everybody for coming along and meeting Steve Collins in Fredericksburg, a fine shooter and a great friend. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you. I'm humbled.